All right, in Chapter 8, we're going to talk about different types of conic sections. And conic sections are basically different types of things that you would get when you have two cones on top of each other and find different ways of slicing through those cones. The cones are actually called naps, but that's not something that you'll necessarily ever see on a quiz or a test from me. But we're going to first start by talking about parabolas, okay? And the first thing to talk about by parabola is, what is the definition of a parabola? And a parabola is a set of all the points in a plane that are equidistant from a particular line in a particular point. Okay? So it's all the points in one plane equidistant from a line and a point. Okay? So this line is going to have a special name. It's going to be called the directrix. And the point is going to have a special name. It's going to be called the focus. Okay. So if I had something where, say I had a focus at 0, 1 and a directrix at y equals -1. So I'm going to have the directrix looks like this at y equals -1. Focus is going to be here. So a parabola is made up of all the points that are equally distant from both this point and this line. So the easiest point to come up with, usually with my focus I make it an x. I have this point here. The point that is directly in the middle, that's perpendicular on the line that is perpendicular to both the focus and the directrix, is called the vertex. Okay, and if I were to draw the rest, it would kind of look something like this. Okay, so I want to talk about the pieces and parts before we try to figure out each of them. And this is the directrix. Okay. Now we have the axis of symmetry. I'm going to change colors for a second. Put that in red. Okay. The axis of symmetry obviously is going to be a line of symmetry where it's going to be the same on both sides. Okay. And it will always be perpendicular to the directrix. Okay. Then we have something called the focal width. And that is the length of the line that goes between the two ends of the parabola that go through the focus. So you'll see that on some questions where they'll ask you what the focal width is. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is what's called the focal length. And that's going to be this distance between the directrix and the vertex. And it'll also be the same thing as the distance between the vertex and the focus. So these are all the different parts that you'd get when you have a parabola. Okay, a parabola, you'll see when we start doing more examples, does not have to just open up. Sometimes it opens up, sometimes it opens down. What's new in this chapter is sometimes it's going to open left, sometimes it's going to open right. So we'll get into all these, and in the next video we'll start doing some examples.